So if we think of where we are, where we want to be, if we try to understand, am I here or am I there? One of the ways we can do that is by looking at the patterns. We can look at patterns of relationships, things that kind of are semi-stable dynamics that keep on happening in this situation here, as opposed to the dynamics that happen in that situation. One of the things that we often see over here is that the programs are built incrementally. So they're built basically in reaction to events that happen. So there's all kinds of events that can happen in terms of food safety. It could be that there was an incident, there was a non-conformance from an audit or from a customer or from a regulatory agency, or something went wrong. Basically, like, there's some sort of crisis, a small crisis, a big crisis. So they often come out with a bolt-on solution, another procedure, another meeting, another checklist, another control, another signature on another document. And what happens is it makes the programs a little bit more complicated, a little bit more difficult, if you want. Now for QA, they think, oh, well, it's just another signature. Who's fretting about that? But what often happens from the production side or from packaging or from everybody that is not QA is that they're already overwhelmed by the complexity of this program and the complexity of how that contradicts some of the other things they have to do. And they have 8 hours or 10 hours to do 20 hours worth of work, and so they end up disengaging, and they end up saying, yeah, I can do that, but it's that kind of promise. It's a promise that on a sunny day, I'm going to do everything you ask me. So if there's a last minute order or shortage of workers or anything unusual that happens, then they're going to have to cut corners. And this might just be one of the corners they cut. And because they've cut corners, once in a while, there'll be another situation, and then you'll add on another bolt-on solution. And so the cycle goes on and on like that. So that's kind of the pattern that we see at the bottom here, where we are. And we want to get out of that pattern, and we want to get into a different pattern. If we think of what are the dynamics for being ready every day, what does that feel like? How does that look like every day? Well, it starts with programs being simple so that people can understand the program. It makes sense to them. And when things make sense, people are much more likely to be engaged and then to provide feedback when things don't make sense to them. If the default is that things never make any sense, well, I'm not going to tell you when something doesn't make sense. But if the default is that most of the things make sense and this little thing here doesn't make sense, if I don't give you feedback, somebody else will. And odds are that I will give you feedback because I'm used to things making sense. I'm used to things being simple. I'm used to delivering. So if I can't deliver, then we'll want to fix that right away. And instead of doing big program revamps or adding another layer of something, what we end up doing is we end up tweaking programs. We end up fine-tuning programs, making small adjustments. It's a dynamic equilibrium. Programs are never static, and that's how it should be. And so what happens is when we adjust those programs, then we end up with being consistent in our execution, and we're back to things being simple and things making sense. So that's the dynamic, that's the cycle that happens when you're ready every day. So the system is based on simplicity and it's focused on people.